there and welcome back to the classroom. Welcome to the masterclass. So this is a special class that I'm offering this year, and this will give you a little bit of insight into what I do with my paintings when I paint every day, the different techniques I use, and a few different skills that you probably wouldn't have otherwise become sort of exposed to. And today we're going to use a beautiful product called gold leaf. Now in your kit you may have gold leaf or you may have silver leaf. Either way, they're very, very beautiful, but today we're using gold leaf. And as you can see, this is how it will come in the kit. So it will come in a packet like that, which you need to open up. But I have already an open pack that I use regularly. And you'll see as you open it up, it's very fine and delicate. So we need to be fairly careful when we pick up our leaf. But this is what it's like a tissue. It's rather lovely, and we'll end up gluing this down in areas on the canvas fairly shortly. Okay, so that's your leaf. Putting that aside for a minute. Also, you'll find in your kit a product called leafing size. Now, leafing size is like a glue, and it's perfect. It's water-based, so you can wash your brush afterwards after using sizing, and it's perfect to glue your leaf down with. So we'll come back to that. We also have a really small pot of silver foil, and this is lovely just to dip your paintbrush straight into and create, you know, some effects for your fish, or you know, maybe on a little bit of silver foil paint on your rocks, or you know, even on your snorkelers. But we'll come back to that as well. We also have our blank canvas, our palettes and palette knives here, which will be handy for scraping paint onto your canvas. And obviously the acrylic paint. Now I'm an acrylic painter, and so majority of my artworks are painted with acrylic paint. And I like acrylic because it dries fairly fast, and you can create some really beautiful effects by adding different mediums to it, or even with water. And allowing it to dry and see sort of what the paint does quite naturally. So my world of art is predominantly painting pieces for other people, and I get commissioned to paint people's children, like you know, be like mum and dad asking me to paint you, for example, and it's always a representation of you. So it's not a portrait, it's just a representation in my style. And today we're going to paint a person snorkeling in the underwater world, so you can be creative as you want and add all your own little personal touches to it. But to start with, we're going to mix up with our acrylic paint a few different colours. So we're going to actually mix up a skin colour and a brown. So I've got some orange and yellow and red, a little bit of blue. We're just going to put those out on the palette to start. We also have in your kit a large tube of white, and the reason I've done that is because I tend to use a lot more white than I do any other paint, so I thought it would be handy for you to have a bit of extra white. Now you'll see also that I've got here a pot of water, which is good for washing your brush, and some paper towel for drying your brush. that's the only other things you need that won't be in the kit. Some white out. Okay, we'll put that to one side now. Get one of your brushes, and we're going to mix a skin colour. So I'm going to take some white and put it to one side. I'm going to add a tiny bit of this red so it will make it like a pink. A little bit of the yellow. It's quite pink at the moment. Add a bit more white to it. And then I'm going to pick up a tiny bit of the blue and mix that through. And that just takes the pink off it a little bit. And a little bit of the orange. And that's going to give you a really nice skin colour. That's pretty good, isn't it? Okay, so the first thing I want to do is paint our snorkeler in across this part of the canvas. So I'm actually going to shape in just like this. So this here is the shoulders, this is the back, bottom, and coming through to the legs. And the foot. Just like that. Okay, and now I'm going to bring the arm, that's as if the snorkeler is lying, swimming fairly straight in the water, but pointing to something down here amongst the rocks and the coral. Okay, and then just past the shoulder line, we're just going to put a little head, which is just like a half a circle. Okay, so that's our first step. Keeping it very, very simple. Okay. Right, now I would like to mix up, we'll just wash our brush. I'm going to mix up some brown. And I'm going to just get a bit of paper towel. Just put that out of the way. And I'm going to take a little bit of the red on this side, a bit of the blue, and mix that together. Now red and blue will make a purple. And we add a little bit of yellow as well to it. We're going to get a reddy brown colour, and maybe we'll add a bit of the orange as well. A bit more blue to make darker brown. We're going to get a nice, the blue, nice dark brown on this side. So we've got like a dark brown on one side here and the skin colour on the other, and we're going to use both those colours, and we're going to paint in some rocks. Now if you find that your brush is a bit dry, you can dip it in your water, add a bit of water to your paint. So your rocks can be different shapes and different sizes. I'm just going to put them across the bottom to start. Okay, I'm going to pick up a bit of skin colour and bring that in over the top edge of those rocks. that is doing is creating areas of light on top of the rock. So you can see the rocks in mine are a little bit pinky. So I'm going to actually pick up a bit of purple, put that down. Just see what happens if we add a little bit of purple to our brown. Then come back to our dark brown again. I'm adding a little bit of orange now. Trying to make variations of the brown and bringing in rock behind, like so. And you can see the areas where I've put a bit of light on the front rocks. They are going to be the ones that stand out. Another rock, big rock up here. One just coming off the edge like so. Again, I will put a few little highlights on the top of those rocks. Just bring it across like that. And you can use your finger and just blend that in. So there is light showing on top of what we call, when I swim in Manly, they're called the boulders. Lovely big rounded rocks where we often see all the beautiful fish. Okay, so that's our first stage of the bottom of the ocean. Now we're going to give our brush a good wash. And I've got a hairdryer here, but you could always put your painting out in the sun. But just for a matter of ease, I'm going to dry it quickly. Okay, so while that is drying, I'll put some more colour out. I'll put all my colours out now. Red, orange, purple, some green, some yellow. And some little bit of blue over here. Okay, we'll take a slightly bigger brush, pick up some of the white that we've got, and a tiny bit of the blue, tiny bit, because we want just a very soft blue that we're going to paint in through the top of our canvas. And this is the sky. Okay, so our water level is going to be up the top here, but I just want to show you a little bit of sky, a bit more white at the top. Okay, brushing it dry. Okay, now with one of our palette knives that have come in the kit, I'm going to pick up some warm colours. Now warm colours are your reds, your oranges, your pinks. What I want you to do is scrape these beautiful colours around the snorkeler. Now what we're doing is we're creating a foundation or a base for our beautiful sea creatures. So by picking up a bit of yellow, a bit of orange, a bit of red, we're going to create some lovely patterns with our palette knife. I'm going to put one down here. Like such. Bit more. And a little bit over the rocks as well, because they should be fairly dry now. Okay, that should be enough. Pop our palette knife into the water. Okay, next thing is we're going to put on some of the gold leaf that I spoke about. So we're going to need a little brush. Our gold leaf, sorry, our sizing, which is our glue. I'm going to put a bit onto the palette, like such. And with the brush, dip into the glue. And I want you just to put areas here and there of the glue. It doesn't really matter where, but just kind of spread it around a bit. A bit of it over our paint. And a bit down here too. Okay. Now with this glue or sizing, we need it to leave it for about 10 minutes to dry, or actually to become quite tacky. But because I don't have 10 minutes whilst I'm teaching you, I'm going to put a hairdryer over this again, just a very light one, and that will speed up the drying process. But ideally, if you could put yours out in the sun or just outside for 10 minutes, or even just let it sit for 10 minutes, just while the sizing glue sets a little bit. Now, if you're wanting to use a hairdryer, just check with Mum and Dad first. Always make sure that you keep the hairdryer away from your face. Okay. Right. So I might just leave it a little bit longer. In the meantime, I'm going to put some swimmers on our snorkeler and also a cap. I think I will start off by putting perhaps a purple cap. So taking a little bit of purple, a bit of white, mix it together. I'm going to paint the cap on. Like such. And then I'm going to put a long sleeve rashi, and I think I would choose, a red base. wash my brush, and I'm going to put some bathers on, and I think I might go for the dark purple. Just pull that dark into, like that. There we go. Right, and I'd like to put some flippers again. I'm just going to take purple and put some flippers on the feet. Just be fairly simple shape. Right, okay. Now I think the glue's probably had enough time. Yes, it's quite tacky, so that is the time that we can lay our leaf on. We can grab our leaf, just break it off and let it fall down onto the glue. Now the leaf is going to only stick to the areas where you put your glue. You might need to use a couple of sheets. Okay, so just again, the reason I'm doing this is that I'm creating a bit of a base, a foundation for our beautiful sea creatures. Now you can run your fingers across the canvas just to make sure that you've covered all the areas, just very lightly. Gee, there's an area that's a bit sticky there on one there, so I know I've still got to put leaf there. I'm going to go for a third sheet, but that's okay because you've got lots of sheets for another artwork later on. Okay. Any excess over to one side. It does stick to your fingers a bit, but don't worry too much. Very easy to wash off. Okay. Right, I'm going to get a dry brush, so a brush that's got no water, and just lightly scrape off any excess. Just to one side. Can actually put a hairdryer on it with permission from Mum or Dad if you want. I'm just going to blow a bit away. What I want you to do is have a look at the beautiful marks that we've made with the warm colours and with the gold leaf, and just see whether you can see any shapes of sea creatures. So for example, this shape here lends itself to the body of a fish. So I would probably use this for a little fish. Now I'm going to grab a smaller, finer brush, and I'm going to actually use my purple again, dark purple, and I'm going to outline that little fish. Like such. And this shape here also, I can see a V-shaped fish like that. Okay, I've made a bit of a list over here. This was before we started, of the things that I'd like to put into my underwater world. So my first one was some small fish. So I'm going to do a few of those and make them different shapes, and it creates a bit of interest in the overall composition. And I want this beautiful golden fish here. Yeah, like that. I'm going to give him a little eye. And this little guy here would be cute. The tail. And this guy down here, I'm going to do it lovely, like a big kingfish. Because it's a bit of a focal point, because this is what the snorkeler is pointing to. Okay, now I also thought it'd be nice to put some starfish in, so I'm going to pick up an area with gold and orange and put in a bit of a starfish, just an outline. Okay, and I also thought of doing a turtle somewhere, so I might make this the back of my turtle. It's lovely. Pick up the golden, red and orange. It's like an oval, give him a little head, very simple little shape. Colour his little head in. Little feet, arms. Just a little bit of detail on his back. Like so. Brush the brush. Okay, I also thought maybe a jellyfish would be nice. I might make the jellyfish here. Some tentacles. See how I'm just using the very tip of the brush. And maybe the stingray, maybe his tail. And I do want to use this area here because I love how the yellow and orange have blended nicely here with the touch of the gold. So I think that would be nice, maybe for like a huge big kind of groper with these lips. Fins, and then of course I'd like to use all these other bits of gold, so lots of little golden fish will be very special. Some down here. you might want to put dolphin in, or a shark. Lots of friendly little sharks swimming around in Manly. Some bubbles would be nice. Okay, I'm going to actually bring in the snorkel as well, which will just come up through the cap, just above like that. With some loose round bubbles. Right, so we're getting close to moving on to maybe a bit of some coral as well, which can come up through the rocks, or some green grass. So I'll put some there, and I think I'd like some over here. So you can see this is very much the drawing stage of the painting, but not drawing with a pencil, we're drawing with a paintbrush. And I'm going to put some, try and pick up that lovely gold again in the grassed area. This lends itself to an interesting looking fish with a funny tail. Put in an eye. And this guy an eye too. And maybe over here. Okay, the next thing is I'm going to change brushes. Goes for a flatter brush, and I want to put in a line with a bit of the purple, maybe pick up a bit of the blue at the top where the water and the sky meet. Around a straight line, doesn't have to be perfectly straight through the top there. Okay, so now before we start working on our background and creating our water, I want you to have a look and see if there's any other areas that you'd like to put anything else. So I think I would like maybe to put a second starfish over here. It's a very simple shape. Just going to put a few bigger elements, a few big fluted fish. With a puffer. Okay, so I think we're time to probably move on. Picking up our bigger brush, and actually we're going to need to get some purple, some blue, more blue out. We've got green on the palette, got some, maybe a bit more white, and a bit of yellow. We're going to create our beautiful background. We're going to make it quite washy, and the idea is to paint around our beautiful fish and our marine life. So a bit more of the white paint, and we want to add as much of the water, so make it quite sort of washy. Now you could probably change your water. I'm just going to continue on with what I've got here for the time being, and you can see how I'm using this bigger brush, picking up a bit of green, a bit of blue, mixing it up. Keep working around all our elements and our different shapes. Picking up a bit of white. We want areas to be a bit darker. We can add a bit of purple to our blue. That will make our water even darker, which can be really quite effective around our fish. So you can see that the background is some beautiful sort of mid-greens, some beautiful mid-blues. Then we've got a mix of the blue and green here, more of a purple over here. Because when you do swim under the water and snorkel, you see all sorts of different colours in the water, depending on where the light, how the sun is hitting the water. Okay, next thing I want to do is pick up a little bit of white, just run it across the top of the water, such, just where the water meets the sky. The top. Okay, now I want to have a look at, revisit the fish, and just any areas that you want to add detail to or add a bit more colour to, now is the time to do it. Always add a few more little bits here and there. This little guy needs a tail. Need to bring back in the legs or the tentacles of my jellyfish, because I lost them a bit when I was doing the background. So you can see I'm adding quite a few at this point. Very simple shapes, just really dabbing the brush, letting all that thick paint create that nice little fish shape. Add a bit of the red up into the coral. Need a tail on this guy here. Right, and now I think I need to define, I need to define my turtle a bit more. I'm going to actually bring in some paler legs. Just outlining a bit. Add some, with the dark purple again, I want to add some more eyes. of course you might want to add some scales to your fish as well. It doesn't have to be in the purple, it could be in the white. Just need a fine brush to do that. I'll do one here for you. Put a bit of white into their eyes, give them a bit of character. Stripey. Okay, now my little snorkeler isn't standing out very well, so I'm going to lighten his cap. Actually, maybe I won't do blue because you won't see that. How about yellow? Nice yellow. I'm going to add white to my yellow. That's his fish. Maybe some yellow for the grass. You see how I'm holding my paintbrush, making it just at the very tip of it, just dragging that brush along, twirling, turning it as I go. I want to bring a bit of it over here too. Bring some of it quite high up if you want. Orange. Can go over your fish and over your snorkeler. Okay, now I do want to lighten his top a bit. So I can just do another layer, or her top, if you want it to be a boy or a girl. Like that. And got some spots, I think, on the swimmers. And now I'm going to get my silver foil paint and create some little bubbles. Actually, I might give it a good shape first. With a fine brush, just into the foil paint and create some bubbles. Not everywhere, but just here and there. Add a bit of silver foil to some of the eyes would be quite fun as well. Some bubbles. Even if they go across here, her. So we're getting pretty close to the end now. I could go on for hours. and keep adding lots of detail, but I'll probably stop here and let you continue adding bits and pieces to yours. Don't forget to sign your artwork. And this one particular masterclass is fairly, like, you know, loose and fairly abstract, but you can also see what it is. The next masterclass I will offer through my art classroom is a little more structured, and I'll be showing you how to put some children sitting on a branch. So I always sign with a paint pen, which you can always pick up from the news agency. And I love signing with a bright colour. Let's see if I can find a pink to sign with today. Let me see. Maybe I'll do an orange. Just sign down the bottom. And there you have it. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you again very soon. Bye for now.